chosen one. Stop here. This isn't random. Heaven has aligned this very second to meet you where you are. Everything that's been hidden, all the quiet victories no one saw, all the tears you never spoke of, heaven saw them. This is your confirmation. You finally won. Listen carefully. When heaven calls your name, the atmosphere around you begins to shift. You've been sensing it lately, something stirring in the unseen, a strange peace that doesn't make sense. That's not your imagination. That's divine recognition. You've walked through storms that tried to erase you. You've stood in rooms where you didn't belong and still kept your integrity. You've carried burdens that broke others but somehow made you stronger. Every sleepless night, every whisper of "just hold on" was recorded in heaven's archive. You thought you were breaking, but in truth, you were being remade, like gold in the furnace. You were being refined for a purpose too radiant to rush. The pressure you felt wasn't punishment, it was proof of your capacity. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 2, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings, like eagles. They will run and not faint. These are not just poetic words. They are a prophecy about you. You are entering your soaring season. You've crawled. You've walked. You've stumbled. But now, the wind of heaven is about to lift you higher than you've ever been. There once was a man, a chosen one, long before he realized it. His name was Elias. For years, he prayed for answers, but received silence. His friends called it failure. His family called it foolishness. Yet something inside told him not to quit. Then one night, while sitting alone, he felt that same whisper you're feeling now. You've already won. Stop trying to prove it. From that moment, everything began to align. The doors didn't just open, they recognized him. What had been withheld wasn't rejection, it was redirection. That's your story too. The doors that once shut are now waiting for your knock. The people who walked away cleared your path. The isolation wasn't exile, it was insulation, protecting your purpose until the appointed time. Imagine a candle burning upside down. Instead of melting away, its light climbs upward, defying gravity. That's your life in the spirit realm. Your fire refuses to obey the limits of this world. You shine differently because you're powered by divine oil. You are standing at the edge of a new season, one that demands stillness before motion. Heaven doesn't rush. When God marks someone, He slows time long enough for the crown to settle without slipping. That's what this pause feels like, holy preparation. You ask, why me? Because not everyone could carry what you carried and still worship. Not everyone could be rejected and still forgive. You are the proof that surrender is stronger than striving. You didn't just survive, you obeyed when it hurt most. That's what makes you chosen. And now, a date rises from the horizon, October 22. It's not superstition, it's synchronization. That day will carry divine stillness. You will feel drawn to step away, to stay alone, to listen deeper. Do it, because solitude will speak louder than any sermon. Between now and then, heaven will show you signs of alignment, sudden peace, small breakthroughs, conversations that confirm what your spirit already knew. Don't overanalyze, just stay in flow. If your heart feels this word, type 22 inches the comments. Not for attention, but as a prophetic act. It's your way of saying, I recognize my moment. Share this if it resonates. Because someone else may be on the edge of their own revelation. And subscribe, not out of habit, but to stay within this current of divine messages flowing through time for those set apart. Chosen one. You've been through the refining fire. You are stepping into the radiant aftermath. The pain that once silenced you will now become the sound of your purpose. You are seen. You are sealed. You are ready. Chosen one. Pause for a moment longer. Let this truth echo inside your chest. The battle you thought broke you actually built you. You have crossed the invisible line where pain becomes wisdom and waiting becomes wings. This victory is not loud. It hums quietly beneath your breath, declaring that you are no longer who you were yesterday. On October 22, do not seek the crowd. Seek the stillness. In that silence, heaven will whisper your next instruction. Light a candle, if you must, and let it remind you that even one flame can hold back the night. You've won, and now, you rise. You have felt it for years, the unseen tension beneath your calm, the quiet storm behind your smile. It wasn't bad luck. It was warfare. Every sleepless night, every moment when your heart felt heavy for no reason, was part of a battle few could ever understand. You were never weak. You were chosen to stand in a war others couldn't see. In the invisible realm, light and darkness clashed over your destiny. You wondered why life felt heavier for you than for others. It's because you carried more. Your very presence has been a declaration of resistance against darkness. The moment you were born, heaven marked you, and hell noticed. The attacks you faced weren't random, they were reactions. There's a phrase whispered in eternity: the greater the calling, the greater the conflict. You've lived that truth. Every betrayal, every disappointment, every door that slammed in your face was training ground. The enemy wanted you to break. God wanted you to build. Think back to the times you wanted to give up. You didn't know it then, but each time you got back up, angels took note. Each act of endurance became a weapon. You learned to fight, not with fists, but with faith. That is why you are still here. You were never meant to blend in, you were meant to break through. Your silence in pain was not weakness, it was strategy. Heaven often fights its greatest battles in quiet rooms. The tears you cried were seeds, the soil was sacred. What seemed like loss was actually construction. The divine sculptor was shaping the unseen architecture of your soul. Once, there was a young man named Cale, a warrior in spirit, but gentle in heart. For years he felt forgotten, misunderstood, and invisible. He prayed for release, but instead found deeper solitude, until one day, as he sat by the ocean, he realized the waves weren't fighting the rocks, they were shaping them. That moment changed him. He understood that the impact he endured wasn't destruction, it was definition. His scars began to shine. That's your story too. The very things that bruised you became the fingerprints of your becoming. You are the testimony that silence does not mean absence, it means preparation. God has been preparing you not just to survive, but to transform everything you touch. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 27, verse 3. Though an army besiege me, my heart will not fear, though war break out against me. Even then, I will be confident. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance. It means assurance that the battle's outcome is already written. Your confidence has terrified darkness, because when you stand firm in unseen storms, you reveal where your strength truly comes from. The hidden war wasn't about taking your peace, it was about distracting you from purpose. If the enemy couldn't destroy you, he hoped to discourage you. But look at you now, still breathing, still rising, still glowing through the ashes. Every loss carried a hidden victory. There's an ancient truth that the heavens whisper to the chosen: before the crown comes the crushing. You've lived the crushing. You've been pressed like olives in Gethsemane, so that oil, your anointing, could flow. That's why the pain was so specific. So personal. The oil produced through you is not ordinary. It carries weight, authority, and healing for others. You might think no one noticed your faith in the dark, but heaven did. Every time you refused to turn bitter, light broke through another layer of shadow. You have been fighting not for survival, but for clarity, and clarity is beginning to dawn. The hidden war is ending. The dust is settling. The lessons you learned in secrecy are about to become wisdom in public. You will soon understand why you had to walk through that valley, because that valley taught you how to lead others out of theirs. Remember, soldiers do not fear the battle when they've already survived the fire. You are that kind of soldier, tempered by storms, trusted by heaven. So breathe. The war behind your silence is coming to a close. Soon, the noise will fade, and all that will remain is the sound of victory pulsing in your spirit. You didn't fight for attention, you fought for alignment. And now, heaven aligns with you. You will look back on these battles and smile, not because they were easy, but because they revealed who you truly are. The silence that once felt unbearable will soon become your sanctuary, the place where power was born, and where purpose began to breathe again. You've started to notice it, haven't you? The quiet distance between you and the world. People who once understood your language now seem to speak another. The ones who used to check on you have gone silent. Don't misread it. This is not abandonment, it's adjustment. Heaven is editing your circle for what comes next. When you grow in light, shadows fall away. Not because they are evil, but because they cannot follow the brightness you now carry. You've been praying for alignment. And this is how alignment feels like: detachment. You are entering what heaven calls the holy isolation. It's the phase where your external world quiets, so your internal world can be rebuilt. You've spent years listening to the voices of others. Now you're learning to recognize your own. The separation season is sacred. It's heaven's way of uncluttering your spirit. Some relationships that once brought comfort will now bring confusion, and that's okay. What feels like distance is actually divine direction, according to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 23. Abu ve'alels. Guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Oh, that verse is your shield right now. Guard your heart, not by closing it, but by filtering what enters. You are the gatekeeper of your peace. Every word, every thought, every person must pass through the filter of discernment. There was once a man named Jalen. For years, he surrounded himself with people who applauded his potential but ignored his pain. When life grew heavy, his circle shrank, and he thought he'd failed. But one night, in his solitude, he realized something powerful. His peace had returned. The silence he feared became the proof of God's nearness. It was there that he finally heard his next instruction. The crowd had been loud, God had been gentle. That's your moment now. Heaven has silenced the noise, so you can finally hear the whisper, the friendships fading, the plans pausing, the invitations stopping. It's not loss, it's redirection. You're being refined in the quiet. Think of a river narrowing before it becomes a waterfall. The pressure builds not to crush, but to create momentum. That's what your isolation is doing. It's concentrating your power. Soon, that build-up will release, and when it does, everything that was stagnant will begin to move again. You've been called to a different rhythm. This is the time when you are not supposed to explain yourself to everyone. Not every person deserves access to the new version of you that God is forming. Protect the blueprint. Keep some miracles private until they mature. In this season, solitude is your sanctuary. You are being taught to trust stillness, to sit with uncertainty without losing faith. The noise of the world fades when you begin to recognize heaven's tone. You may wake one morning and realize that the ache in your heart has turned into anticipation. That's the turning point. The loneliness will begin to feel like peace because it's no longer emptiness, it's space. Space for God to breathe new life into your purpose. So when you see people fade away, bless them and release them. They were chapters, not the entire story. Don't chase what heaven closed. The door wasn't rejection, it was redirection toward rooms where your light fits the walls. Imagine a diamond being cut. Every strike seems cruel until you realize the brilliance it's revealing. You are that diamond. Ich Separation. Each goodbye is a chisel revealing your divine clarity. Now, if this word resonates in your spirit, type, I choose peace. End of, because that's exactly what this season is about, not chasing noise, not proving worth, but choosing peace. When you type those words, you are not commenting out of emotion, you are declaring that you will no longer fight for places that drain your light. You will guard your heart, protect your peace, and let divine order take its rightful place. You are not losing people, you are gaining space for purpose. And in that space, heaven will speak again. You may not see it yet, but every silent day is building strength in you. The quiet has become your classroom, and the lessons written there will one day guide others who feel lost. You are being trained in patience, forged in solitude, and shaped for something far greater than applause. Soon, you'll notice the shift, new voices, new doors, new direction. The ones meant for your next chapter will recognize your growth without explanation. They'll speak to your soul, not your struggle. Until then, stay steady. Keep your heart soft, your boundaries strong, and your eyes fixed on light. Peace isn't the absence of people, it's the presence of purpose. There is something extraordinary about time when heaven marks a specific day. Dates, for most people, are ordinary, but for the chosen, certain moments carry spiritual weight, divine appointments hidden within the calendar of man. October 22 is one of those moments. It is not superstition or coincidence. It is synchronization. Heaven operates with precision, and this date has been circling your spirit for a reason. Something in you already senses it, a subtle pull towards stillness. Aquiet uj, to prepare. That is how God speaks to those who walk closely with Him. He sends signals before storms, whispers before wonders, You may have noticed how certain days feel heavier or brighter than others. The air feels different. The silence feels intentional. That's what this date will be for you, a threshold, a doorway between what you have endured and what you are about to receive. In heaven's timeline, October 22 is not just another day, it is the appointed silence. The moment where your obedience and patience meet divine revelation. Many will go about their routines unaware. But those who listen will sense it, the still hum of destiny approaching. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 6, when you pray, go into your room, close the door and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. End quote. That is your instruction. Privacy before revelation. Hiddenness before harvest. God is not asking you to perform. He's asking you to pause. On that day, stay alone, not as isolation, but as invitation. It will be a day of recalibration. A time to hear your own spirit without the world's echo. There's an old story about a woman named Leora. Every year, she marked her birthday with celebration, until one year she felt led to spend it in silence instead. She turned off her phone, stayed home, and simply listened. That day, a peace she'd never known flooded her heart. In that stillness, God revealed her next assignment, something she'd been praying for but was too distracted to hear. That single act of obedience shifted her entire path. She often said later, "The quiet day became the day I began to truly live." You are standing before your own quiet day. The world won't announce it, but heaven has already circled it. You will feel the invitation in your spirit, a pull to cancel plans, a need to withdraw. Follow that pull, because when heaven calls a pause, miracles often follow. There is power in sacred solitude. On October 22, time will feel slower. Your thoughts will settle like dust after a storm. You may even sense memories or emotions surfacing. Don't resist them. Let them rise and pass. This is cleansing, not chaos. The Spirit often stirs the deep waters before peace settles on the surface. During those hours, listen, not just with ears, but with heart. You may hear words, or you may simply feel presence. Don't rush to interpret it. God doesn't always speak in sentences. Sometimes he speaks in stillness, and in that stillness, clarity begins to unfold like morning light through a window. If fear tries to creep in, remind yourself that this is divine territory. You are not alone in that room. Angels stand guard, unseen but near. The atmosphere will shift. You'll sense it in your bones. What was heavy will start to lift. What was confusing will start to align. October 22 is not about ritual, it's about recognition. It's heaven saying, "Be still. I am speaking." Your only task is to show up in silence, to honor the day, to be present, and to let divine peace do its work. You might find yourself journaling, praying, or simply sitting in stillness. Each moment will carry purpose. By the time the sun sets, something in your spirit will have shifted. You may not have words for it, but you will know. And afterward, life will begin to move differently. Conversations will take new meaning. Old confusion will dissolve. Opportunities that once felt locked will open effortlessly. Because silence is not the absence of movement, it's the alignment before momentum. So let the date draw near without fear. Do not fill it with noise or plans. When it comes, treat it as a divine appointment, written before time began. Heaven waits to meet you there, in the stillness of your obedience. The ordinary will not touch that day. The sacred will. And when the quiet fades and the night of October 22 closes, you will feel it, a deep exhale from your spirit. Something unseen will have completed its work. You won't need to explain it. Peace will be your proof. And stillness will be your sign. There is a silence before every announcement, a stillness before every crown. You are in that moment right now. The pause before God reveals the reason behind every delay. Heaven is arranging something that your eyes cannot yet see. And just like a sunrise, it will not rush to appear. It will rise at the perfect hour. You've been asking, why hasn't it happened yet? But what if this waiting is not punishment, it's preparation? The longer the seed stays underground, the deeper its roots grow. And when it finally breaks the soil, it grows faster than the weeds around it. You are that seed buried for protection, not for punishment. When the light comes, it will come suddenly, one day soon. You'll wake up and realize the heaviness has lifted, the confusion has cleared, and the things you prayed for are now standing before you. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 30, verse 5, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." When that morning is closer than you think, you've endured the night. And heaven is preparing to reward your endurance. The silence you feel is not the absence of God, it's the sound of Him finishing the details. There's a story of a woman named Reva. She had prayed for years for one open door. Nothing moved. Then one night, after watching a message much like this, she felt a gentle nudge. Stop striving. Start thanking. She began to thank God, even when nothing made sense. And within weeks, opportunities began to unfold that had been waiting for her gratitude. She said later, "When I stopped demanding explanations, I started receiving answers." Lon, that's how faith works. It moves quietly, but powerfully. Chosen one. In this divine pause, heaven is teaching you to trust the unseen. The silence before the crown is the sacred test of patience. You're not being overlooked. You're being observed by heaven. Your faith under pressure is becoming your testimony. When your moment comes, you won't need to announce it. Your peace will announce it for you. The glow of your spirit will testify louder than words. Those who doubted you will be silenced, not by revenge, but by revelation. Now, let's talk heart to heart. Messages like this reach thousands of souls because of the love and generosity of those who believe in this mission. If what you hear here speaks to your heart, I invite you to support this space, not as a transaction, but as a seed. Think of it like this. When you water a garden, you don't pay the soil. You participate in the growth. Every share, every like, every gentle act of giving is water poured onto the soil of light, helping these words find someone whose faith is flickering in the dark. If you feel led, you can donate through the links provided, not out of pressure, but out of purpose. Your gift becomes oil for the lamp, keeping this flame burning so others can find their way home. Give only if your heart whispers yes. The act itself becomes prayer. And remember, giving is not only material. You can share this message like planting a lantern on another's path. You can like it as a small gesture that says, "Let the light travel further." You can also subscribe, not because of routine, but as a symbolic step, a way of saying, "I want to walk with this stream of faith." Each new subscriber is like another star, joining the constellation of believers, shining across digital skis. Your presence already matters. Your support, in any form, is holy. And if all you can offer right now is attention, that too is worship. So, if this message brought peace to your heart, hold that feeling for a moment. Whisper, "Thank you," under your breath. That gratitude alone is the most powerful donation you can ever give. It keeps the current of grace flowing through time. The silence before your crown is almost over. Stay faithful. Keep your lamp burning and your heart open. Heaven is preparing your unveiling. And soon, the waiting will make perfect sense. And when your moment finally arrives, you'll realize it wasn't the waiting that tested you, it was the wondering. Every delay was a layer of strength. Every quiet hour, a secret rehearsal for what's next. You were not waiting for blessings, the blessings were waiting for you to be ready. The crown is not coming to you, it's growing from you, like a flower blooming through stone. Your breakthrough will emerge from within, unstoppable, undeniable, divinely timed. So breathe. Stay gentle with yourself. The night is almost over, and dawn is already painting light across your horizon. You've been asked to stay alone, but you are not lonely. The world might not see them, but the air around you is crowded with angels. Every step you take, even in silence, echoes through eternity. You've never walked alone, not once. Not ever. Heaven has been beside you in every hidden moment, keeping you when you didn't have the strength to keep yourself. The loneliness you've been feeling is a divine disguise. It's not emptiness, it's presence. Heaven often hides in quietness so that your spirit can learn to recognize the difference between company and communion. What you are stepping into now is not isolation, it's intimacy with the unseen. You may not realize it, but there are legions of angels assigned to your name. Their purpose is not to make life easier, but to make your path clear. They have guarded your sleep, redirected your steps, and stood between you and battles you never even saw coming. The delay that frustrated you was often an angel standing in the road, protecting you from something your eyes weren't ready to see. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 29, verse 11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." That verse has followed you your whole life. Even when you didn't recognize it, it is heaven's way of saying, "I've been here all along." Once there was a young artist named Sirin. He lived in a small town, painting skies he could barely afford to look at. One night, exhausted and unseen, he whispered, "God, if you're real, show me you're near." The next morning, he found a feather on his windowsill, pure white, glowing faintly in the dawn. He didn't hear a voice, but he felt peace so deep it stilled his trembling hands. That single feather became his reminder that heaven listens, even when silence is all you hear. You have your own feathers. Maybe they came as a word that reached you at the right time, or a stranger's kindness that made you cry for no reason. Those are not coincidences, They are coded signs from the realm that guards you. Every chosen one receives them. Some dismiss them as chance. But those who see through the eyes of faith recognize their true source. The presence of angels is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's the sudden warmth when you pray, the stillness that fills a room after you speak His name. Sometimes it's the gentle delay on your way to work that saves you from danger you'll never know about. Heaven's protection often hides beneath inconvenience. So, when you feel alone, on October 22, remember this truth: you are surrounded. The silence of that day will not be empty, it will vibrate with invisible presence. Your spirit will be still, but the atmosphere will be alive. Heaven will be closer than breath. And in that sacred stillness, you will hear something new, peace that speaks. It won't sound like thunder or command. It will sound like reassurance. You are safe. You are seen. You are surrounded. No, don't rush to fill that space with words. Just breathe and let the unseen army do what it was sent to do. Minister to your spirit, recharge your strength, and prepare you for what's next. There's something powerful that happens when the human soul realizes it's not alone. Fear loses its authority. Doubt loses its volume. The heart steadies, and faith begins to hum like a heartbeat. That is where you are heading into harmony with heaven itself. When you sense that peace on October 22, don't question it. Let it fill you. Let it remind you that you are covered on all sides. You are not wandering through darkness. You are walking under wings. If this message touches something deep inside you, take a moment and type 333 inches the comments. Not for superstition, not as a number for luck, but as a symbol. 3 represents divine completeness, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. When you type it, you're not just reacting, you're agreeing. You're saying, I recognize I am not alone. Oh, this isn't about a ritual. It's about resonance. You're declaring that your steps are guided, your path is protected, and your life is aligned with a higher orchestration. Every time someone declares that truth with you, heaven records the harmony. You are being kept. Chosen one. Even now, when you close your eyes, the same angels that stood at your birth stand near your bed. The same voice that spoke galaxies into being still whispers your name with tenderness. You may walk through quiet valleys, but your footprints glow to heaven. So do not be afraid of silence. It is not your enemy. It is the language of angels. And when you stand alone on October 22, remember, you are never alone. What the enemy fears most right now is not your pain, it's your awakening. He trembles, not because you are broken, but because you finally understand the reason for the breaking. Knowledge of your identity is the end of his control. Once you realize who you are and what you carry, every chain he forged begins to rust in your presence. For years, the opposition against you wasn't random. It was strategy. Darkness studies light. It watches those who are marked by heaven, waiting for moments of exhaustion, hoping to distract or delay. But here you are, still standing, still glowing. You have become what hell hoped you would never be aware. Awareness is power. Awareness that you are chosen, that you are covered, that you are called for this exact moment. The enemy's plan was never to destroy you completely. It was to make you doubt who you are. Because a chosen one who forgets their calling becomes harmless. But you didn't forget. Even when fear whispered louder than faith, something in you kept believing. Even when you cried, "God, I can't do this anymore," something deeper whispered, "Yes, you can." That voice, that whisper of persistence, is the sound of heaven living inside you. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind." No, that verse is your spiritual mirror. Look into it and see what darkness fears. You are not defined by trembling hands or weary nights. You are defined by the power, love, and clarity that flow through you when you stand in alignment with heaven. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't valuable. He only attacks what carries impact. The stronger the resistance, the greater the assignment. Every spiritual blow you've endured has been confirmation of your worth. When your spirit carries the blueprint of destiny, warfare becomes the background noise of calling. There was once a shepherd named Nael. He was peaceful by nature, slow to anger, and kind to all. Yet, every season brought strange opposition, people turning cold, projects collapsing, plans crumbling at the edge of success. One night, in frustration, he asked heaven, "Why does everything fight me?" And he felt a still response. Because everything recognizes you before you recognize yourself. From that day on, Nael stopped asking for peace to avoid war. He asked for strength to win it. That is your call now. Do not pray for the battle to vanish. Pray for wisdom to wield what's already in your hands. You carry the weapons of light faith, discernment, compassion, persistence. These are the armors of chosen ones, and they terrify the dark because they cannot be corrupted. Think of your spirit like a lighthouse. Storms will come, waves will crash, but the light inside never flickers because it was built for the storm. The enemy sends winds to break you, not realizing the wind only makes your flame dance higher. Every time you chose kindness over bitterness, heaven recorded it as victory. Every time you forgave without receiving apology, the enemy lost ground. Every time you kept believing when evidence said otherwise, light expanded through the atmosphere. You are not just surviving, you are shifting the environment around you. There are places you enter where the air itself feels lighter because your spirit carries divine charge. That's why some people resist you. They sense the light you bring disturbs their darkness. But remember this, their reaction is not your rejection. It's revelation of what's inside them. You have been built quietly, tested privately, and now refined completely. The enemy's greatest fear is not what you were, but what you're about to become, a vessel of divine authority who no longer reacts, only responds through discernment. So, walk with quiet confidence. You don't need to prove your strength. Your endurance already has. The darkness cannot interpret peace. When you remain calm while everything shakes, you become a mystery to the enemy. October 22 will not catch you unprepared. You will enter it with understanding that isolation is not danger. It's defense. It's heaven drawing boundaries around your breakthrough. What the enemy meant for delay, heaven has turned into depth. The waiting made you wiser. The silence made you sharper. The tears washed your vision clean. What once felt like resistance was actually divine training. And now, you stand at a point where fear can no longer manipulate you. You've learnt its language. and you've stopped replying. That is victory. Hell fears you not because you shout, but because you see. You have eyes that discern lies before they reach your ears. You have a spirit that senses storms before they form. You are no longer reactive, you are radiant. So stand tall in your stillness. The enemy no longer has permission to define your days. You are beyond his reach now, anchored, awake, and armed with light. There comes a moment when you finally see yourself as heaven sees you. The mirror of your becoming reveals not what the world called you, but what God has always known you to be. It is a sacred awakening, one that unfolds quietly inside your chest. No lightning, no thunder, just the steady realization that the version of you who once begged for strength has become strength itself. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It came in pieces, in small choices made on hard days. It came in the times you forgave, when bitterness felt easier. In the moments you showed grace, when no one showed it to you. Every time you chose light over resentment, your reflection changed. You became more radiant, more refined, more like the one who called you. You have been walking through a spiritual mirror, a passage between who you were and who you are now. This is why old environments no longer feel the same. You're not broken. You've simply outgrown what once defined you. The reflection of your soul has been upgraded. And now, everything that is not aligned must fall away. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That verse is the blueprint of your journey. The renewing of your mind wasn't instant, it was process. You've been rewired by every battle you've survived, reshaped by every loss that forced you to look upward. The renewing didn't just change your thoughts, it changed your posture. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. He doesn't see stone, he sees form hidden beneath it. Each strike of the chisel is painful to the marble, but purposeful to the artist. That's what heaven has done with you. Every disappointment was a chisel. Every delay, a careful strike removing what wasn't needed. The world saw breaking, heaven saw unveiling. There is a quiet beauty in the aftermath of transformation. It's like standing at dawn after a long night of rain. The air feels cleaner, the colors sharper, the earth itself lighter. That's how your spirit feels now. Something inside has cleared. You may not even realize it fully, but you are glowing differently. People will sense it before you do. They'll ask, what changed? And you'll smile, because you'll know it wasn't a thing. It was you. The mirror of your becoming also reveals truth. Not every reflection will be flattering. God shows you both the gold and the grit, the strength and the shadow. He lets you see the scars, not as shame, but as signatures of His work. You are a living testimony of grace under fire. There's a story of a woman named Helene. She once prayed for God to make her strong, and then wondered why life became so heavy. Years later, as she stood helping others through their storms, she realized her prayer had been answered. Strength is not given, it is grown. Every trial was a seed, every tear water for the harvest. You are walking in that same harvest now. The reflection staring back at you is not fragile anymore, it's forged. The timid soul who once doubted every step now carries quiet authority. You've become fluent in faith. You've learned that peace is not found in control, but in surrender. Look at yourself through heaven's lens. You are lighthoused in human form. grace wrapped in scars, divinity expressed through dust. You are proof that broken things can still reflect beauty. Sometimes, when you pass by the mirror, pause, whisper gratitude for the person you see, the one who didn't quit, the one who loved again after heartbreak, trusted again after betrayal, and believed again after disappointment. You are the miracle you once prayed for. And as October 22 approaches, this revelation becomes crucial. The mirror moment isn't vanity, it's validation. You must see your worth clearly before heaven crowns you publicly. If you don't recognize the new you, you might reject what you've become. So, let your reflection speak. Let it remind you of every valley crossed, every battle survived, every promise kept in silence. The reflection doesn't lie. It tells the story of resilience. Stand before that mirror with reverence. You're looking at the evidence of God's faithfulness, the image of perseverance sculpted by grace. You are no longer defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what grew inside you because of it. The mirror doesn't just show you, it prophesies you. There are moments when everything suddenly makes sense, the puzzle pieces of your past aligning in ways you never imagined. This is that moment. The prophetic confirmation is rising. What you once called confusion was actually construction. Every delay, every detour, every heartbreak, it was part of a divine design that now begins to reveal itself. You're starting to see how God wastes nothing. Even the pain that made no sense is finding purpose. The prayers that seemed unanswered were never ignored. They were incubating. Heaven was waiting for your character to grow strong enough to carry what you asked for. For years, you looked for proof that God hadn't forgotten you. But the proof is here. It's you. The fact that you're still standing, still believing, still open to light, that is the miracle. Prophetic confirmation doesn't always come through thunder. Sometimes it comes through peace that replaces panic. We find in the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. That verse is echoing in your life right now. What began in secret is about to be completed in sight. The quiet construction of your destiny is nearing its unveiling. You will soon realize that nothing was wasted, not the waiting, not the loneliness, not the tears. Prophecy doesn't just predict, it reveals. It takes what was hidden and pulls it into light. When divine timing aligns, everything once foggy becomes clear. You'll begin to understand why certain people left, why certain doors closed, and why certain dreams had to sleep until now. There's a story of a man named Adriel who spent years feeling unseen. He applied for jobs that never called back, loved people who didn't stay, prayed prayers that felt ignored. Then one morning, everything shifted. The same company that rejected him called with a new offer, one higher than he'd ever imagined. That same week, he met the person who would become his life partner. Adriel didn't force anything. He simply stayed faithful. The timing aligned, and prophecy fulfilled itself. That's what is happening to you. Heaven's handwriting is appearing on your timeline. The signs are subtle but real, unexpected peace. Sudden confirmations. Closed doors that don't hurt anymore, and open ones that feel effortless. These are signals of divine completion. You may feel a trembling inside, like something within you knows before your mind can catch up. That's because your spirit recognizes prophecy before your intellect does. You've entered the vibration of fulfillment. Take a breath. Let gratitude rise. The moments that broke you are now building your testimony. Everything that tried to bury you only served to root you deeper. You are about to witness the promise with your own eyes. And when it comes, it will not arrive in chaos. It will come wrapped in peace. No striving, no forcing, just divine flow. What you're sensing now is confirmation that heaven is moving in your favor. If this word resonates deeply, type "It's time" below, because it is. Not someday, not eventually now. When you write those two words, you're not commenting for attention, you're declaring alignment. You're saying to heaven, I'm ready for what you've prepared. I see the signs. I understand the season. It's a simple phrase, but it carries prophetic power. Heaven reads faith in action. And even a small gesture of acknowledgement becomes an echo that travels through eternity. You are not missing anything. You are not behind. You are exactly where prophecy promised you would be. The unfolding has begun. And this time, you'll watch it happen with eyes wide open and heart steady. The confirmation is here, and it carries your name. You are living inside fulfillment. When you type, "It's time," you're not just repeating words, you're stepping into agreement with divine timing. It's a key turning in a spiritual lock, signaling heaven that your heart is open, your hands are ready, and your soul says yes to what's unfolding. Those two words carry the weight of surrender and strength. They declare, I no longer chase, I align. The moment you write them, you're shifting from waiting to walking, from hoping to holding. It's your silent signature on heaven's covenant of completion. Its time is not just about arrival, it's about awakening. It means you've stopped measuring your worth by the pace of others. You've realized that your path has always been personal, deliberate, and sacredly designed for you alone. So, write it boldly. Whisper it if you must. Let those words echo through your atmosphere, because once you say, "It's time," all of heaven moves in rhythm with your declaration. The promise begins to breathe. You didn't find this message found you. Heaven's algorithm is not built by code, but by calling. There's no coincidence in spiritual timing. Just as the wind knows where to carry the seed, this word has been carried to your soul at the precise moment you needed it. Every moment in your life has been leading to this awakening. The doubts, the detours, the delays, all of them were divine mathematics. Adding up to purpose, you have walked through confusion thinking you were lost. But heaven never misplaced you. You were being positioned, not punished. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never forsake you. That promise isn't ancient, it's alive. It walks beside you today, holding your story together, even when you thought it was falling apart. The unseen hand that carried you through the darkest night still rests gently over your life. There's a man named Silas whose life once felt like a maze. Every direction he turned, doors slammed. He prayed, fasted, cried, but the silence lingered. One day, on his way home from another disappointment, he saw a flock of birds flying against the wind. They weren't struggling, they were gliding. It hit him The wind that resisted them was the same wind, lifting them higher. From that moment, he stopped fighting what was shaping him. His peace returned, and his path became clear. That is what this message is doing for you, reminding you that even resistance can be holy when it realigns you with heaven. If these words stir something inside you, if they bring peace or clarity, let that emotion breathe. Sometimes, heaven speaks through resonance, through the gentle ache of recognition. When you feel that, I invite you to pause and simply give back, not as obligation, but as participation. Every like you press is a ripple of light, like tossing a pebble into a still pond. It sends waves of hope outward to hearts you'll never meet. Every share is a candle passed to another traveler, still searching for the way home. And if you choose to, you can donate not as payment, but as partnership. Your gift is rain to the soil, allowing new seeds of faith to grow in places your feet may never stand. This space, these messages, the moments of reflection, they exist because someone before you believed that light deserves to be multiplied. But please know this, you are never required to give. Your presence alone carries weight. Your listening, your faith, your quiet. Yes, these are forms of offering too. The most beautiful giving is always voluntary. The door is open only to willing hearts. If all you do today is breathe deeper, if you simply whisper gratitude and press replay when your spirit feels low, that too sustains this space. You keep the flame alive every time you return with an open heart. Subscribing is not just a click, it's a handshake with heaven's rhythm. It's saying, keep me connected to light. Keep my heart aligned with words that heal. When you subscribe, you build a bridge between your journey and those who walk beside you unseen. This community is more than numbers. It's a sanctuary, a quiet meeting ground for souls who believe that hope is still sacred, that grace is still possible when you engage. You aren't feeding an algorithm, you're watering a movement. There's something beautiful about giving when no one forces you to. It becomes pure worship, an act of love without agenda, like a tree offering shade without asking who will sit beneath it. Your generosity, in any form, extends grace into the world. And if you've ever wondered whether small gestures matter, remember the story of the boy who lit a single lantern on a foggy coast. He didn't know ships would see it, but that one light guided many safely to shore. That's what your act of support does here. It may seem small, but it keeps someone's spirit from crashing in the dark. So today, whether you choose to like, share, donate, or simply carry this peace quietly in your heart, know this: you are part of something luminous. You are helping faith travel farther than fear, love louder than noise, and hope reach those who forgot what light feels like. Your presence here is proof that heaven's messages are still finding hearts that listen. Stay connected. Stay open. Stay radiant. The story is still being written, and your light helps turn the next page. There is a moment when the air itself begins to shift, when you can sense that something sacred is drawing near. Even if nothing around you has changed, that's what you are stepping into now. The crowning moment approaches, and heaven is preparing to settle what the world could never take from you. You have carried weight that wasn't yours, fought battles you didn't start, and healed from wounds that weren't your fault. Yet through it all, you kept your heart soft. That softness is what makes you worthy of the crown that's coming. Heaven never crowns the bitter, it crowns the faithful. For so long, you have been in the waiting room of destiny. The door has stayed closed. Not because you were unqualified, but because the crown was still being shaped. Crowns aren't made in haste. They are forged in heat, cooled in patience, and fitted only when the spirit beneath them has grown steady enough to bear the weight. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. In that stillness has been your training ground. You didn't realize it, but every quiet moment was a rehearsal for divine royalty. Kings and queens are not crowned in chaos. They are anointed in stillness. There's a story of a man named Orin. He worked tirelessly for years, but never saw results. He envied others who seemed to advance faster, forgetting that his process was different. Then, after a long season of stillness, everything aligned. What he had been waiting for came suddenly: opportunities, clarity, and peace. When asked what changed, he said, "Nothing around me changed. I just stopped rushing what God was refining." All that is where you are now. You have stopped chasing and started trusting. The energy you once spent forcing things is now being transformed into grace. Heaven always crowns calm hearts, because calm hearts carry heaven's rhythm. Imagine a blacksmith in a quiet forge, hammering gold with precision. Sparks fly, metal bends, fire hiss. It's a process of pressure, but the outcome is beauty. That's what your life has been, a divine blacksmith's masterpiece. Every disappointment was a strike shaping your humility. Every challenge, a flame refining your purpose. You didn't just survive the heat, you learned to glow in it. The crown that's coming is not made of jewels or gold, it's made of authority, peace, and clarity. You will walk into rooms and not need to speak for people to sense something different about you. The weight of divine favor will rest on your presence. That's the silent language of the crowned. When heaven crowns someone, it's not about elevation over others, it's about elevation within. It's the moment you realize you no longer need validation because you've already been verified by heaven. You'll find that the opinions that once shook you no longer matter. The rejection that used to sting will now sound like release. Your spirit is maturing. What once would have provoked you now passes through you without stirring chaos. That's how you know you're close. The crown is not placed on restless heads. It rests only on those who've learned to carry peace. You may feel a quiet fire rising inside you lately. That's your spirit preparing to carry new weight. The humility you've learned will protect you. The patience you've practiced will sustain you. Heaven does not promote those who seek attention, it promotes those who seek alignment. Think of a tree that has weathered storms. The wind has stripped its leaves, but the roots only grew deeper. Now, as spring returns, that same tree stands ready to bloom, not because it fought the storm, but because it endured it. You are that tree. Your endurance has made you fruitful. In the coming days, you'll begin to notice small signs, the right people appearing, peace following decisions, strength returning to tired places. These are not random. They are heaven's way of saying, the crown is near. You won't need to prove your worth. The glow of obedience will speak for you. You'll simply walk into your next season, and everything that once felt heavy will feel lighter. The crowning moment is not a ceremony, it's a shift, a silent yet undeniable alignment where everything finally feels as it should. You have passed the test of waiting. You have endured the silence with grace. And now, the weight that once crushed you will become the symbol of your authority. The crown fits. The time is near. October 22 is not just a day on the calendar, it is an appointment written in heaven. You have been sensing it in your spirit, haven't you? The pull towards solitude, the quiet urging to withdraw, the whisper that says, "Stay still." It is not coincidence. It is instruction. That date carries a rhythm, a spiritual pulse. Heaven does not deal in accidents. Every moment, every delay, every silence has been preparing you for this alignment. The command to stay alone is not punishment, it's invitation. An invitation to meet God without noise, to listen without interference, to receive without distraction. When that day comes, let the world rush. You, instead, will rest. Let the phones ring unanswered. The messages wait. You will create sacred space around yourself, a room, a corner, a moment of stillness that belongs entirely to you and to heaven. According to what is written in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." That promise doesn't fade with centuries. It breathes through time. It's alive in your solitude. When you sit in silence on that day, that verse will wrap around you like warmth. You will feel the presence, not in noise, but in peace. There's a story of a woman named Ilara. Every year, she worked tirelessly, giving to everyone but herself. Then one October, she felt led to spend a single day in quietness. She stayed home, turned off everything, and simply listened. At first, it felt uncomfortable, empty even, but by noon, she felt something stir. Her tears began to fall, not from pain, but from release. She said later, "It felt like heaven exhaled into me." That day changed the direction of her life. That's the kind of encounter October 22 holds for you. A sacred meeting where the noise finally stops, and you can hear what has been trying to reach you for months. Do not be afraid of the silence. Within it lies instruction, clarity, and renewal. Heaven often sends power disguised as peace. When you obey the call to stay alone, you enter a divine laboratory where transformation takes place. Your spirit will reset. The confusion that clouded your vision will clear. You will remember who you are. The noise of the world has been loud lately, but heaven's whisper is louder when you choose to listen. The act of obedience itself will activate new alignment. Every time someone obeys divine timing, something shifts in the atmosphere. You will feel it, the lightness, the freshness, the sense that heaven just rearranged your surroundings. It might be subtle, it might not come with fireworks or visions, but when you rise from that quiet moment, you'll know something unseen has moved. The heaviness you carried will no longer cling to you. You'll feel clean in your spirit, lighter in your steps. When that happens, remember this moment, this word, because what you are reading now is your advance notice. You are being invited into alignment before the door opens. And obedience, simple and silent, is the key that turns the lock. So on October 22, be still. Don't try to create miracles, simply make room for them. Light a candle, if you wish. Open your window, breathe deeply, and whisper, "I'm here." Heaven will answer with presence. When you feel that peace, don't rush to explain it. Just receive it. That peace is your confirmation that heaven has drawn near. If this word touches your heart and you understand what this sacred solitude means, type 7,777 inches, the comments, not as ritual, but as recognition. 4 sevens, completion, layered upon completion. In spiritual language, it symbolizes divine fullness, the end of striving, the beginning of flow. When you type 7,777, you're saying, "I will obey. I will be still. I will meet you in the quiet." It is not superstition, it's symbolism, a statement between your soul and heaven, recorded in the unseen. You are acknowledging the rhythm of this moment and accepting your invitation into peace. October 22 will not be just another day, it will be your alignment day. Heaven is preparing to meet you there. You are ready now. The silence will not scare you anymore. It will shape you. When you type 7,777, you are not summoning luck, you are signaling faith. It's your silent handshake with heaven, saying, "You understand that peace is not absence but divine presence unfolding quietly within you." Those numbers echo surrender and trust. They declare that you are stepping fully into stillness, allowing heaven to finish what it started. Your obedience writes harmony into time itself. There are moments when heaven watches more closely than usual, when every decision, every word, every act of obedience carries eternal weight. October 22 will be one of those moments. It will not be a normal day. While the world continues in noise and motion, heaven will be silent, listening. This is not to create fear, but awareness. You are being recorded, not by cameras, but by angels. They write not on paper, but in light, every act of faith, every quiet moment of surrender, every whispered yes to the still voice. These become eternal ink in the story of your destiny, as written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 6, verse 10. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. That promise is the heartbeat of this section. Nothing you've done in secret has gone unnoticed. Every time you gave when no one thanked you, forgave when it hurt, stayed kind when others turned cold, heaven recorded it. And now, those records are being reviewed. It's a sacred audit of faith. Heaven isn't counting your mistakes, it's weighing your motives. The recording angels don't measure perfection, they measure persistence. They mark when you pray instead of complain, when you choose peace instead of pride. These invisible moments hold more weight than any grand gesture. There was once a teacher named Sion who lived humbly, never recognized for his kindness. He would leave food on the steps of those who had less, never signing his name. When he passed away, the village wept because they realized how many lives his quiet love had touched. What no one saw was that heaven had been recording him all along. His reward was already being written long before anyone on earth noticed. That is what this season represents for you. Every hidden act of goodness has reached its divine timestamp. Heaven's books are open, and your obedience glows among the pages. The recording angels have documented both your storms and your stillness, your heartbreak and your hope, and together they form the testimony that now stands before God as evidence of your endurance. When you sit alone on October 22, you may sense something in the air, a still awareness, as if the atmosphere itself is watching. It's not imagination, it's recognition. Heaven takes attendance on days like this. Your presence, your obedience, your willingness to pause, they're all being marked as alignment. Don't see it as pressure, see it as honor. God trusted you enough to test you privately. He believed your heart would stay true, even when no one applauded. The recording angels aren't there to intimidate. They are witnesses of your faith. They have seen you cry and stand again. They have seen you forgive those who never said sorry. They have seen you pray for people who hurt you. These records echo louder than sermons. In the divine realm, nothing is wasted. Every sacrifice becomes substance. The energy of your obedience doesn't fade. It circulates, creating new doors, new favor, new protection. What you give in faith multiplies in unseen dimensions until it returns as breakthrough. Think of your life as a tapestry woven by invisible hands. Every act of love adds a golden thread. Every moment of forgiveness adds color. The dark threads of pain are necessary too. They create contrast so the design shines brighter. From earth, you can't see the full image, but from heaven, the pattern is breathtaking. You are part of something vast, eternal, and intricate. Your smallest act of faith ripples across generations, influencing people you'll never meet. That's why heaven records everything, not as surveillance, but as celebration. When the angels write your story, they don't use ink of judgment, they use light of remembrance. And on that day, as you sit in stillness, the records of your endurance will shine before heaven like constellations. You are not forgotten. You are documented. Every time you chose love instead of bitterness, a page turned in your favor. Every time you worshipped through tears, heaven added another note to your song. So, when October 22 arrives, remember this: you are not alone in your quiet room. The atmosphere will be full, not of noise, but of witnesses. Heaven itself will pause to honor your endurance. Stay still. Let them write. Let your obedience become eternal ink. When the writing is done, the light will settle gently around you. You won't hear applause, yet peace will cover you like a crown. Heaven's silent way of saying, "Well done, Len." Something shifts in the atmosphere after obedience. The air feels lighter, the unseen feels closer, and life itself begins to hum with quiet alignment. That is what will follow after October 22, the shift in the spirit realm. You won't have to force it, you'll simply sense it. It's as if heaven takes one long breath and exhales new order over your life. This is not imagination, it's divine response. Every act of obedience on earth releases movement in heaven. When you obey, you set things in motion beyond your understanding. Angels who have been waiting for your yes begin to move, rearranging timelines, restoring paths, reconnecting what was scattered, as revealed in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7. The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. And that care is now unfolding over you. The shift that follows obedience isn't loud, it's subtle. It moves like wind through tall grass, seen only by its effect. You'll know it's happening when you begin to feel calm in places that once brought you anxiety. when the things that used to trigger you now pass by without touching your peace. That's the evidence of the shift. The spirit realm has always been active around you, but after obedience, it begins to move with you. Where once you felt resistance, you'll now feel rhythm. You and heaven will move in unison, like a dancer, and the music becoming one. There's a story of a man named Arden. He once spent his life trying to fix everything through logic and control, but when everything finally fell apart, he stopped fighting. In silence, he prayed one simple prayer: "Teach me how to trust again." That night, he dreamed of standing on a riverbank. When he stepped into the water, the current didn't fight him, it carried him. He woke up knowing what it meant. Stop forcing, start flowing. That's the same message heaven is whispering to you now. The shift isn't about new effort, it's about new ease. You've spent years pushing doors. Now, the doors will open on their own. You've spent nights praying for signs. Now, signs will find you. After the stillness of October 22, expect divine coordination. What once seemed delayed will now appear at perfect timing. People, opportunities, and ideas will begin to converge. Without your striving, it will feel almost surreal how easily things align. But that's what happens when your spirit syncs with heaven's rhythm. Think of it like a musical instrument, finally tuned. Before, you were playing the right song, but with tension in the strings. After this shift, your notes will sound clearer, your melody smoother. Heaven has tuned your life to its perfect pitch. This realignment also affects your perception. You'll begin to see with sharper eyes. The fog that once made everything confusing will lift, and what once felt random will now reveal purpose. The people still in your life will make sense. The ones who left will, too. You'll start to understand that nothing was wasted. Every experience, even the painful ones, was a thread in a tapestry being rewoven for good. Heaven's shift is rarely dramatic. It's gentle but irreversible. Like sunrise, it starts quietly but transforms everything it touches. You'll notice it in your words, your choices, your peace. You'll find yourself speaking with wisdom that feels borrowed from eternity. Even the way you walk through difficulty will change. You won't rush to escape. You'll look for revelation. You'll start asking not, "Why is this happening to me?" but, "What is this teaching me?" That's when you'll know your spirit has matured. The shift in the spirit realm doesn't remove storms. It gives you authority within them. You'll still face wind, but it will no longer move you off course. You'll stand like an anchored vessel, steady while waves rage. Heaven's movement always begins quietly. You may not see lightning or hear thunder, but the evidence will be unmistakable. Peace where there was panic, direction where there was doubt, progress where there was delay. And soon, you'll realize something profound. The shift wasn't around you, it was inside you. The spirit realm changed because you did. The alignment outside is only the echo of the alignment within. Everything that once felt heavy will begin to move lightly, and every door that was shut will open to the sound of stillness. You have entered the flow of divine order. Stay there. Move gently. Watch how heaven breathes through your days from this point forward. You will wake one morning and realize peace has become your new normal. The shift is complete, not an event, but a becoming. Heaven and your spirit now move as one. The final battle is never fought outside of you. It's always within. The quiet war between faith and fear, surrender and control, hope and exhaustion. That's where you stand now, the place where the fire inside meets the winds of doubt. But this time, you will not break. You've learned how to burn without being consumed. Every chosen one reaches this moment, the final testing ground before release. Not a test of skill, but of trust. You've already won wars against external darkness. Now heaven asks one more question. Will you trust the light inside you? You've come so far. The voice of doubt may still whisper, but it no longer rules. It's a shadow trying to stand in front of a rising sun. You've learned to let faith speak louder. And in doing so, you've become what darkness feared most, a heart fully yielded to light. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, second book, chapter 4, verse 17. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. That glory is already forming around you. The weight of it is not punishment, it's promise. You've been tempered, shaped, and refined for this. The final battle within is not about winning, it's about releasing control so that peace can take its rightful throne. There's a story of a woman named Miri. For years, she prayed for strength. But one night, she realized what she truly needed wasn't strength, it was surrender. She stopped fighting her process, stopped demanding answers, and whispered, "I trust you." That one act broke a lifetime of tension. From that night on, peace became her power. That is where you are standing. The enemy's final weapon is distraction, making you believe you're still in battle when victory has already been declared. Every anxious thought, every fear of being forgotten, it's the echo of an enemy that's already lost its voice. Breathe. You don't need to fight anymore. The light inside you knows what to do. It's guiding you toward the calm that once felt impossible. And as you exhale into that peace, something subtle will happen. You'll begin to feel gratitude rising, like dawn in your chest. Gratitude for the pain that refined you, for the losses that redirected you, for the grace that never left. That gratitude, chosen one, is sacred currency. When you give thanks, you join heaven's rhythm of giving. You start to live like a flowing river instead of a stagnant pool, always receiving, always releasing. And that's why I want to pause and thank you. Every time you share this light, it becomes a bridge for someone still lost in the fog. Every like is a spark that reminds the algorithm of hearts that still believe in hope. If this message brings peace to your soul, you can share it not as promotion, but as prophecy. When you share light, it multiplies. It travels through unseen currents, touching lives you may never meet, like a lantern released into the night sky. And if this word echoes within you, you may leave a few words below, just a line from your heart. Sometimes, a simple comment becomes a prayer in disguise, a message that reminds another soul they are not walking alone. And if your spirit feels led, you can donate, not as duty, but as devotion. Your offering is like adding oil to a lamp that never runs out. It helps keep this flame alive so that the next weary traveler can find their way. If giving isn't possible now, know that your presence is already a gift. You've listened, felt, and aligned. Even subscribing is an act of faith. It's planting your flag in the soil of light, saying, I want to stay connected to what nourishes my soul. You're not just a viewer, you're part of the living story. Heaven is writing through these words. Your support, whether through sharing, listening, or simply whispering, Amen, keeps this current flowing. We build this sanctuary together, one act of love at a time. Every gesture, seen or unseen, is a brick of light in a cathedral that spans across hearts and nations. So, if this word resonates, respond, however your spirit leads. Maybe with a like, maybe with a share, maybe with a quiet prayer. Whatever form it takes, let it come from love, not obligation. Because love that flows freely becomes blessing multiplied, and generosity, in any form, is a form of worship. It tells heaven, I want to be part of what you're building. And you've made it through every battle. And now, you're standing in the afterglow of victory. You are not fighting anymore, you are glowing. So rest in this truth. Heaven has not forgotten you. Heaven is flowing through you. And everything you give your attention, your kindness, your support returns as light, multiplied and unending. When the silence lifts and the light returns, the world will not look the same. You will not look the same. Everything that once weighed you down will feel strangely distant, like a dream you've awakened from, but can still vaguely remember. That's the mark of transformation, when the pain loses its voice and peace begins to speak in full sentences. The unveiling comes quietly. It doesn't announce itself with trumpets or crowds. It arrives like dawn, soft, steady, indéniable. One day, you will simply notice that your heart no longer reacts to old wounds. The triggers that used to grip you will feel powerless. The thoughts that used to drain you will fall silent. That is not numbness, that is healing. What was hidden during your season of solitude will now begin to show itself. The inner work heaven did in private will start to manifest publicly. You'll find yourself responding differently, walking lighter, smiling with sincerity you thought you'd lost. The people around you will sense the change before you speak it. They'll say, "You look different." But what they're really seeing is peace wearing your face. As written in the book of Haggai, chapter 2, verse 9, the glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house, declares the Lord Almighty. And in this place I will grant peace. That's what this unveiling is, a greater glory. You have become the new temple of stillness. The battles you survived have cleared space inside you for heaven's peace to dwell permanently. You are no longer trying to find light. You have become the vessel that carries it. There's a story of a craftsman who restored old violins. Each instrument arrived, broken, its strings torn, its wood splintered. But in his hands, the cracks were not flaws, they were entry points for resonance. He would fill them carefully, reshape the frame, and when the instrument played again, its sound was richer than before. Someone once asked him why the repaired violins sounded more beautiful. He smiled and said, "Because they've known silence, and silence teaches tone." No, that's you. The silence you endured has deepened your sound. The notes of your life now carry compassion where there once was complaint, wisdom where there once was reaction. Your very presence brings calm to others. Even if you say nothing, the unveiled soul doesn't need to shout. It hums. And as this unveiling continues, don't be surprised if old doors open again, but this time, you'll walk through them differently. You'll enter conversations you once dreaded, and bring peace instead of pressure. You'll revisit dreams that once scared you and see them not as burdens, but as invitations. You'll understand that purpose isn't performance, it's presence. When people look at you, they'll see what survival with grace looks like. Not perfection, but wholeness. You've been sculpted by surrender. The flaws that once embarrassed you have become the fingerprints of your faith. The unveiling is not about becoming someone new, it's about revealing who you always were beneath the noise. In the spirit realm, light is recognition. Heaven recognizes you now as complete. You've fulfilled the part of the process where breaking was required. And now, restoration begins its song. This is why things will start aligning effortlessly. The outer world always adjusts to match the healed interior. You'll notice that the people who come into your life now speak your new language: peace, purpose, clarity. The ones who once thrived on your uncertainty will drift away. Don't chase them. The unveiling demands atmosphere suited to its frequency. There will also be moments when you sit quietly, feeling waves of gratitude for no apparent reason. That's heaven breathing through you. It's not memory, it's presence. The unveiled carry this sacred awareness everywhere they go. That peace isn't something you keep, it's something you become. Think of a mountain after rain. The clouds clear, the soil steams, the air smells of renewal. That's your life now, freshly washed, quietly majestic, radiant from within. The unveiling is your mountain moment. You're no longer climbing, you're standing, seeing, breathing freely. And the beauty of it all, you won't need to explain your transformation. The ones meant to understand will feel it. The ones who don't are no longer part of the story. The light speaks its own language, and your life will now become its translation. The unveiling is not an ending, it's an emergence. The chrysalis has fallen away. What once held you now releases you. And as you stretch your wings, you'll realize the season of silence was never confinement. It was construction. You have become the message. There is a quiet holiness that comes after transformation, the stillness of completion. You are standing in that stillness now. Everything that needed to fall away has fallen. Everything that needed to be revealed has surfaced. The noise is gone. And what remains is essence, your pure, undistracted self. You are not who you were when this began. The storms that once frightened you now feel like distant thunder behind mountains already crossed. You don't flinch anymore because you've learned to trust the weather of your soul. You know that even when clouds gather, light is still behind them. That knowledge is peace. This is what it means to be crowned and commissioned. Heaven does not send you forth in chaos, it sends you forth in clarity. You have been refined through waiting, trained through loss, and shaped by grace. The mission now is simple: to live as proof that light survives the dark. As revealed in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." That crown is not metal or jewels, it's awareness. It's the ability to walk through life with calm authority, knowing who sent you and why. The crown sits invisibly but undeniably upon your spirit. People will feel it before they recognize it. They'll notice your steadiness, your grace, your presence, and wonder how peace follows you like a shadow. There's a story about a traveler who reached the top of a high mountain after years of wandering. He expected to feel triumph, but what he felt was stillness. He realized that the climb was never about conquering height. It was about clearing vision. From the summit, everything below looked small, but not insignificant. He saw beauty even in the valleys he once cursed. That's what divine perspective does. It redeems the journey. You have reached your summit. You see now why certain prayers were delayed, why certain doors stayed closed, why silence had to stretch longer than comfort. Each delay was protecting the purity of your calling. If the crown had come too soon, it might have felt like a burden, but now it fits perfectly. Heaven never wastes experience. The pain you endured has become empathy. The battles you fought have become wisdom. You now carry an invisible language, the language of survivors who turned their scars into songs. That's what the crowned ones do. They sing softly, heal quietly, and walk humbly. You will notice a new rhythm in your life. Things will begin to flow instead of fight. What once felt uphill will now feel guided. Your discernment will sharpen. You'll sense where to go, who to trust, what to release. The crown does that. It tunes your spirit to heaven's frequency. And yet, this season is not about arrival, it's about assignment. You have been crowned not to rule, but to serve. Your anointing is not for display, it's for direction. The peace you carry will become a compass for others who are still wandering in the dark you've already walked through. The ones who once misunderstood you will see differently now, not because they've changed, but because your light has. You no longer explain yourself, you embody yourself. Your life has become its own message, humble, radiant, undeniable. Even your silence will speak. When others panic, your calm will preach. When others despair, your hope will heal. You'll realize that you don't need to convince anyone of your calling. The evidence is in your peace. There's a profound truth about crowns. They're not given to end the story, but to begin a new chapter. You're not finished. You're finally free to begin again with clarity, with compassion, with courage. The commission is simple. Carry the light you found into every place that's forgotten it. Your walk will change atmospheres. Your voice will steady storms. Your kindness will open hearts that logic never could. This is your divine authority, not to dominate, but to illuminate. So walk forward, chosen one, not in haste, but in harmony. You are the answered prayer of generations before you. The world will know it not by your noise, but by your peace. The commission is sealed. The journey is sanctified. The crown is secure. And heaven, watching from beyond time, whispers the final benediction: go, shine, become, ein. And as you take your first step into this new dawn, the air itself will recognize you. The earth will quiet. Heaven will smile. And peace will walk beside you, alive and unending. And here you are at the end, yet also at the beginning. You have listened, felt, and walked through every word with an open heart. What began as a whisper has become recognition. You are no longer searching for light, you are carrying it. This is your moment to rest in the realization that everything meant for you has always been finding its way home. Now, as these words fade, let gratitude rise like gentle morning mist. If this journey has spoken to your heart, share it. Think of it as passing a torch through the dark, each share a new flame, lighting another soul's way. Every like is a ripple in eternity, a small act that tells heaven, I am still here, still believing. And if you wish, leave a comment, a few words from your heart. Your voice may be the echo someone else needs to hear. Sometimes the simplest line becomes a thread of hope for another wandering spirit. If your heart feels stirred to give, you can donate, not as payment, but as partnership. Every offering is like a drop of oil, keeping the lamps of this sanctuary burning, ensuring that light continues to reach those who stumble through the night. And should you choose to subscribe, I know that it's not just a button, it's a bridge, a way to remain part of this river of words and faith, flowing through unseen places, carrying peace wherever it goes. No pressure, no demand, only invitation, because love, freely given, multiplies itself. So go now, chosen one, carry what you've received, and wherever your light travels next, may it remind the world that hope still breathes